Look up at the night sky. For thousands of years, humanity has stared into the darkness and wondered what was waiting for us out there. Among the wandering lights above our heads, one planet has always appeared different, calm, golden, encircled by elegant rings that seem almost artistic, almost divine. Saturn. At first glance, it looks peaceful, like the philosopher of the solar system, the quiet giant, the celestial jewel. But what if I told you that Saturn is not peaceful at all? What if beneath that beautiful appearance lies one of the most hostile, violent, and psychologically terrifying worlds our solar system has ever produced? Tonight, you are just going to learn about a planet. You are going to confront a truth about the universe itself. Because Saturn teaches us something deeply unsettling. The most beautiful things in the universe can also be the most dangerous, and sometimes what looks calm from a distance is actually chaos beyond imagination. Let me take you there. Imagine leaving Earth right now. You rise above the clouds, past the fragile blue atmosphere that protects every living thing you have ever known. You drift beyond the moon, past Mars, through the asteroid belt, and after traveling nearly 2 billion kilometers, you finally see it. At first, it's small, just a pale star among many. But as you approach, the rings begin to reveal themselves. Not flat, not painted, not symbolic, real, massive, stretching nearly 300,000 kilometers across, wide enough to fit Earth inside them dozens of times. From a distance, they look smooth, but get closer, and you realize the rings are not solid at all. They are made of countless shards of ice and rock, some as small as grains of sand, others as large as mountains, each one racing through space at speeds exceeding tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. A collision here wouldn't be an accident. It would be annihilation. There is no silence inside Saturn's rings, only endless destruction, happening so far away that we mistake it for serenity. And that is your first lesson tonight. Distance creates the illusion of peace. Now you move closer to the planet itself. Saturn grows until it dominates your entire field of vision. Its color, soft gold mixed with pale amber, almost feels warm, inviting. But do not be fooled, because Saturn is a gas giant, which means something profoundly terrifying. There is nowhere to land, no ground, no oceans, no continents. If you tried to descend into Saturn, you wouldn't step onto a surface. You would fall, and fall, and fall. At first, you pass through the upper clouds, mostly hydrogen and helium. It might even look gentle until the winds hit you. On Earth, A hurricane reaching 250 kilometers per hour is enough to rewrite history. On Saturn, winds can exceed 800 kilometers per hour. That is faster than most bullets. Imagine being trapped inside a storm that never ends, on a planet that never sleeps. Lightning flashes across the atmosphere, bolts so powerful they dwarf anything seen on Earth. Storm systems grow larger than entire planets. Some rage for decades, others for centuries. And then there is something scientists discovered that stunned even the experts. At Saturn's North Pole, there is a storm shaped like a perfect hexagon. Yes, a six-sided storm, each side longer than the diameter of Earth. It has been raging for over 40 years, possibly much longer, and no one fully understands why it exists. Think about that. A geometric storm on a planet where the winds scream louder than anything humanity has ever heard. If you were somehow able to stand near it, you would watch cloud walls towering higher than any mountain ever climbed. This is not weather. This is planetary fury. And yet Saturn still gets called beautiful. But the deeper you go, the worse it becomes. As you descend further, the pressure begins to climb. 10 times Earth's pressure, 50 times, 100. Your body wouldn't just struggle, it would be crushed instantly. Then comes the heat, thousands of degrees, hot enough to melt metal, hot enough to tear atoms apart. Eventually, scientists believe hydrogen itself transforms into something almost unimaginable. Liquid metallic hydrogen. Not a metaphor. Actual metal behaving like a liquid. A global ocean of electrified metal generating magnetic fields so powerful they could swallow entire worlds. And at the very core, temperatures may rival the surface of the sun. Now pause for a moment and reflect on what you're witnessing. A planet with no surface, where storms scream endlessly, where pressure destroys everything, where heat defies comprehension, where even the chemistry stops behaving normally. Tell me, does that sound peaceful? Or does it sound like a reminder that the universe was never built for our comfort? But Saturn has one more secret, one that might be the most haunting of all. It rains diamonds, not metaphorical diamonds, real ones. Scientists believe that lightning storms break apart methane molecules in the atmosphere. The carbon falls like soot compresses under unimaginable pressure and crystallizes, turning into diamonds, some potentially the size of pebbles, others possibly much larger. Picture a sky where gemstones fall like rain, only to sink into an ocean of metallic hydrogen, never to be seen again. Beauty, vanishing into oblivion. And suddenly Saturn stops feeling like just a planet. It starts feeling symbolic. Because how often in life do we chase things that sparkle without realizing the environment surrounding them could destroy us? Saturn forces you to confront a powerful truth. Not everything that shines is meant to be touched. Now let me make this even more unsettling. Saturn is not just dangerous up close. Its gravity alone is a weapon. With a mass 95 times greater than Earth, Saturn bends space around it like a cosmic giant. Any object wandering too close risks being torn apart by tidal forces. Some moons were likely shattered long ago. Their remains now forming parts of those famous rings we admire from afar. So when you look at Saturn's rings, you might actually be looking at the graveyard of worlds. Let that sink in. What we call beauty may be the aftermath of destruction. And if that doesn't humble you, consider this. Saturn is so large that over 760 Earths could fit inside it. Yet despite its enormous size, it is made mostly of gas, reminding us that even giants can be fragile in their own way. In fact, if you could find an ocean big enough, Saturn would float. A floating giant. Almost poetic. Almost impossible. But the terror of Saturn is not just physical. It is psychological. Because Saturn destroys one of humanity's oldest assumptions, that the universe must somehow be gentle. It isn't. The cosmos is not hostile, but it is indifferent. And indifference can be far more frightening than aggression. Saturn is not trying to hurt you. It simply does not care if you survive. And that realization changes you. Because when you truly understand Saturn, you begin to understand something about your own existence. You are living on a rare island of stability in an ocean of chaos. Earth with its breathable air, flowing water, and protective magnetic field is not ordinary. It is extraordinary, perhaps even miraculous. Out there, beauty often comes with violence. Order dances beside destruction, and survival is never guaranteed. So the next time you look at Saturn through a telescope, don't just admire it. Respect it, because it stands as a golden warning written across the darkness. The universe is far more intense than your imagination has allowed you to believe. Yet strangely, that should not fill you with fear. It should fill you with awe. Because against the backdrop of such overwhelming power, you are here, alive, aware, capable of wondering. And maybe the real message Saturn whispers across the vacuum is this: do not mistake calm appearances for harmless reality. Do not drift blindly toward what looks beautiful. And never forget how rare your world truly is. But we are not finished, because Saturn has moons that may hide oceans, worlds that shoot water into space, and one moon so bizarre that it might resemble something from a myth. And when you hear what happens on those moons, Saturn will stop feeling like just a scary planet. It will begin to feel like an entire system of cosmic mysteries. So stay with me, because what comes next only gets more terrifying. Now let us go deeper. Because if you thought Saturn itself was terrifying, wait until you meet the worlds trapped in its orbit. You see, Saturn is not alone. It rules over a kingdom, a vast system of moons, debris, ice, and wandering objects, all held captive by its immense gravity. Over 140 moons have been discovered so far, and each one tells a story that stretches the limits of human imagination. But among them, one stands apart: Titan. If Saturn is the king, Titan is the strange heir to its throne. As you approach Titan, the first thing you notice is not its size, though. It is larger than the planet Mercury, but its atmosphere, thick, golden, opaque. You cannot see the surface. Imagine standing before a world completely veiled in orange haze, like a cosmic secret refusing to reveal itself. Titan is the only moon in the entire solar system with a dense atmosphere. In some ways, it resembles a younger version of Earth, a frozen echo of what our world might once have been. But do not mistake similarity for safety. Step onto Titan without protection, and the cold would kill you almost instantly. The temperature hovers around minus 179 degrees Celsius. That is not just cold. That is a level of cold where life, as we know, it simply stops functioning. Metal becomes brittle, air turns sharp, and water, the substance that defines life on Earth, becomes as hard as stone. Yet, what makes Titan truly unsettling is this: it has rivers, it has lakes, it has rain, it has weather cycles just like Earth. But the liquid flowing across Titan is not water. It is methane and ethane hydrocarbons that, on Earth, would ignite into flames. Picture standing on the shoreline of a vast alien sea, where the waves are made of liquid natural gas. Imagine clouds gathering overhead, and instead of water droplets, flammable rain falls silently from the sky. This is not science fiction. Spacecraft have seen it, measured it, mapped it. Titan is a world where the familiar has been rewritten into something deeply unnatural. And here is where the fear shifts into something more psychological, because Titan raises a question that has haunted scientists for decades. Could something be alive down there? Not life like us, not breathing oxygen, not walking on two legs, but something different, something built on entirely different chemistry. The universe may not need Earth's blueprint to create life. Let that thought sit with you for a moment. Life might not be rare. It might simply be strange. Now imagine the sky of Titan. Saturn would hang overhead enormous, striped, ringed, filling the heavens like a cosmic eye, watching from above. You would never forget where you were. Never forget who ruled this system. And yet Titan is only the beginning, because deeper within Saturn's domain lies a moon that may be even more astonishing, Enceladus. At first glance, it looks harmless. A small, bright sphere covered in ice, beautiful, almost pure. In fact, Enceladus reflects so much sunlight that it is one of the brightest objects in the solar system. But beauty, as Saturn keeps reminding us, often hides something powerful underneath. Scientists discovered enormous geysers erupting from Enceladus, towering plumes of water vapor, blasting hundreds of kilometers into space, not once, not rarely, constantly. These geysers are so strong that they actually help feed Saturn's rings. Think about that. A moon shooting pieces of itself into orbit around a giant planet. But the true shock came later. Those geysers are not random. They are coming from a global ocean, hidden beneath miles of ice. A dark ocean, a warm ocean, an ocean kept liquid by gravitational forces, squeezing the moon from the inside, generating heat in the blackness. Now pause and absorb what that means. Somewhere out there, nearly 1.5 billion kilometers from the sun, exists an ocean no human eye has ever seen. No sunlight reaches it. No landscapes greet the horizon. Just endless darkness beneath a frozen shell. And yet, where there is liquid water, where there is heat, where there are organic molecules, scientists begin to whisper a dangerous possibility. Life. Again. Do you feel the shift happening? Saturn stops being merely frightening in a destructive sense. It becomes unsettling in a much deeper way, because it suggests the universe might be filled with hidden environments, waiting quietly in the dark. Now let me take you somewhere even stranger. Have you ever wondered what Saturn sounds like? Space is often described as silent, but that is only because sound cannot travel through a vacuum the way it moves through air. Yet Saturn produces radio emissions, energy, waves that instruments have converted into sound. And what those recordings reveal is chilling. Low moans, rising whistles, vibrations that feel less like noise and more like the breathing of something enormous. If you didn't know better, you might think you were listening to a giant sleeping in the darkness. It is the kind of sound that makes you aware of your own smallness. The kind that reminds you that the universe operates on scales far beyond human comfort. Now let me ask you something. What do you think would happen if you actually fell into Saturn? No ship, no protection, just you descending. At first, it might feel almost peaceful, floating through golden clouds, weightless, silent. But that illusion would not last. The winds would seize you first, turbulence so violent, it would feel like the sky itself was tearing apart. Then the pressure would begin its relentless climb. Your body would not have time to panic. It would simply cease to function. And if somehow you continued downward, the heat would rise until the very structure of matter around you began to change. There is no heroic ending inside Saturn, no dramatic landing, only disappearance, complete and absolute. And yet here comes one of the greatest twists in this entire story. Despite its terrifying nature, Saturn may be one of Earth's silent protectors. Its gravity is so immense that it acts like a cosmic shield, pulling in comets and asteroids that might otherwise wander toward the inner solar system. Think of it as a guardian standing at the outer gates. Many scientists believe that without giants like Saturn and Jupiter, Earth might have been bombarded far more often, perhaps too often for complex life to survive. Isn't that extraordinary? The very planet that embodies chaos also contributes to our safety. And suddenly, Saturn teaches us another profound lesson. What looks frightening from one perspective may be protected from another. Power is not inherently evil. It is simply power. Now step back mentally and look at the bigger picture. A ringed giant sculpting gravity, moons hiding oceans, alien rain falling from orange skies, diamonds sinking into metallic depths, storms shaped like geometry, sound waves echoing through electromagnetic space. Does this sound like a quiet universe to you? Or does it sound alive, with forces beyond anything humanity was designed to handle? And yet here we are, a small species on a fragile world, capable of understanding it. There is something deeply humbling about that realization. But we are not finished, because the true fear of Saturn is not just in what it is in what it represents.